like, okay, maybe it's some sort of like chick or like it clearly looks like a chicken egg. So it looks like, okay, maybe this has something small in it, whatever it might be. Oh no, I think we're losing Jay. Jay, no.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Otaku Flavored. We are here with the ever awesome Savage Bear.
Yo.
And of course, me, Jay Lewis, as always. Just hanging out here, talking about this week, our favorite thing, as always, anime. Because what else would we talk about?
Yeah, we should talk about this more. But yeah, our favorite thing, anime.
No, yeah, I think we may have rambled off a little bit in the last podcast and the last one. But it doesn't really matter.
We're just
Today,
fun.
I've been enjoying way too much of the new season of anime, and dude, may I just start this off? A lot of people in 2020 was talking about how they didn't watch a lot of anime, or at least that's what I've gotten from the YouTube space of like people who make anime content and anime things, is they're talking about how they didn't watch much anime. But I'm here to say that there's some of us out here, myself included, who devoured a lot of 2020 stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I think we should go back and recamp at some point, but that's not what I want to go about today, because it seems like everybody's on board with what's going on with this season, or at least a lot of people are coming back to the anime world and just seeing the amazing things that are here.
100%.
Dude, there is some good stuff.
2021 is looking thick. All right, it's looking good so far. I will agree. I definitely, I don't know. I feel like I agree with that 2020 was one of those years where for me, I watched a lot of anime. There was actually some,
did.
Some gems that came through and that are very, very good that came out that year. But this year, my God, the start, even the end of 2020 into 2020 now, like they're going pretty strong.
That last season stuff, because that's when, didn't we get Decadence just last season? Which was one of my favorite anime of the year. I know earlier in the year we had things like Inspector, which is a adaptation of a manga that I had been wanting for many years. And like I said, we could gush about all the stuff that came out last year that people somehow want to ignore, that are all bangers, and y'all need to go watch them.
But let's go into 2021 in this thickness.
So I think it's easy enough to get the sequel stuff out of the way. We already know that there's a lot of that stuff that's came back that's good. Attack on Titan. Everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
We don't care. We all know that it's amazing.
Oh, I care. It's amazing. Go watch this newest season of Attack on Titan. Jesus. Oh man.
ReZero season 2 part 2 is hitting. I know not everybody's caught up on that one, but hey, you should probably give that one a shot. It's worth your time. I'm loving it. Yeah,
I just started it off of your recommendation, and I'm not very far in, and I'm already enjoying it. So I could see getting into this. So
it's good. It gets really, really good as it keeps going too.
Yeah.
And then we have The Promised Neverland. I believe is another one that's starting up.
It is.
I actually haven't seen that yet, and I'm kind of bummed because I need to see it.
You do need to see it. It is very good. If I need to somehow get it to you, let me know. But man,
that is, I think, where we're at.
There's only 2 episodes out right now, and they're both been strong. They've both been good.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
And the last one that I want to talk about, or that I at least want to mention before we get to what's actually new, is a returning of a series that I absolutely loving. And I believe you watched an episode, right?
I watched like 2 episodes so far, and I love it. I know what you're going to say.
So Laid Back Camp
is
absolutely adorable and is a must watch for anybody who just wants to feel good. And I know you want to feel good. This year has already been not the best, and last year sucked super hard. Go watch Laid Back Camp and do yourself a service.
Yeah, season 2's is airing right now, right?
Yeah, it's on episode 2 already. Has already came out, and it's super adorable and cute, just like the first season was. And yeah, worth every second.
100% binging to get caught up, because yes, I agree. 100%. If you want just something to feel good and just it's in its name. If you just want to be laid back and just watch an anime, throw it on, man. You will not regret.
See, this is why I like Slice of Life, is the nice, the good vibes. Sometimes you just need something that is just too cute, too fluffy, and is just takes your mind off of all of the other things around you.
In some ways I agree, but yeah, I definitely like watching things get beat up. It's like that's how I
I do
relax.
too.
All right, I'm like, hey, watch that guy get crushed. Let's go.
A
But
nice cathartic release is always
I guess you're right.
welcome.
But yeah, there's some new stuff coming out that aired. That's looking
Yeah, there is.
looking good. Oh my, like not expected at all.
So, what have you've seen of this new season so far?
Of which one?
Oh no,
Oh,
just
just
like
anything?
what new shows are you
Um,
watching of this season?
So it started last year, but I mean they're now continuing it, and that's Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm being caught up on that. The other one that I just started was what is it? It's a Wonder Egg Priority. That was
That is
recommended.
so good.
So like I think we need to dive into that one just by itself. And then the other one is it's called Otherside. What is it? Otherside? I can't think of its full name. Why
Oh,
can't
the
I-
Otherside Picnic?
The Otherside Picnic. There you go. I
Yeah.
was like, I always
believe
want to
that's
call
the
it
name of that one.
otherworldly. I just want to call it otherworldly something, and I'm like, no, it's not. What is
Yeah.
it? My brain. But
That one is that one's really weird. So it's one that I
That's
really
really
want
weird.
to be super good, but it could also be like it feels kind of like a 50-50 show. Like it might be amazing and it might fall apart. And I don't know where it's going.
I actually feel that after what I've watched so far. I only finished the first episode, but there are 2 episodes out currently. And after the first episode, I kind of was like, I like where you're going, but there's just not enough to hold on to, if that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's so kind of not explaining of what's going on and a little bit of jumpy around that you're like, I could see this other world being interesting, or the other side as they call it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how invested I am in this desolate area that they've shown so far. Like, I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, but could be
Also,
cool.
the way that they fight the monsters seems somewhat like
Oh yeah.
unconnected correctly. Like it just
Oh
it-
yeah. Definitely in the first episode. What the fuck?
I don't need things to be explained, right? Like I love shows that don't explain what's going on. I love shows that just kind of toss you in there and go. And that's part of why I'm like, maybe it's going to be really, really good, but it doesn't seem like it actually expands the world as much as it just tries to pebble in things, and they're all somewhat dull. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot to dive in underneath it. But at the same time, like it tries to hint that there might be. I need something from the show to hit and just like make it to where I'd be like, okay, this is why I want to watch the show.
I totally feel you on that, because I remember basically like when they're first fighting the monster the first time and they defeat it, you're like, whoa, okay, like what just happened?
That was cool. Yeah.
You're kind of like, okay, this is sweet. But then, I mean, we're going to spoil everything. So I don't know if you guys,
Oh yeah.
we should have put a
There's a bit of
spoiler warning before
spoilers.
any of this. But I mean, if you're watching an anime podcast and you expect not to be whatever we're talking about, go watch it. It's still good. But
Go
yeah.
catch up on stuff, guys.
So the second time they fight like the same being, they try the same tactic, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. And it's so weird because they start like talking about how it's going more wrong, or no, it's going less wrong than last time, kind of, and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like you didn't
Yeah,
have the
you guys
stuff.
owned it.
You guys didn't have the stuff growing around your face. You didn't have like you weren't like freaking out that bad. Like everything seemed very calm and pretty like defeatable and kind of understanding. And the moment that they like threw that out of the window, they're like, oh yeah, it's not rock salt. It's not this simple thing that you thought it was. And all of a sudden it clicks for her. Well, the main character, I can't even think of her name right now, but it clicks for her.
That's a bit forgivable.
And she's like, oh, I get it. I understand what you need to do. And I was like, no, I don't. Why are you doing? What is going on?
Yeah, I get really worried in shows that immediately try to redo the same thing over and over again in a way as if that's like how they want to explain stuff. Like it seems somewhat forced. It seems
Yeah.
unconnected. Like I don't know. It just I need more from the show. I need the third episode to absolutely hit, I think, in
Yeah.
order for me to want to move forward with it.
I mean, I'll probably continue to watch it. Since I do like the animation style, I do like
Yeah,
where
those
it's
look
going.
cool.
Like the outside world, or like this just the normal life stuff seems interesting. But yeah,
That
I-
elevator. I want to know what's going on with that elevator.
that's just a straight call to the elevator game. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that is like
No.
it's I want to say, I can't think of it, but it's like a myth where it's this game that you can play where you go to a certain floor and then you go back down to a certain floor and you go up to a certain floor, and after, if you do it in the correct order, there's a person who's supposed to get on, basically. But instead they went like the route of like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be like a way to open up to a different world, basically, which is what they end up using it as.
Okay. Yeah.
But clearly when they're doing it, she's like, oh, I'm going to the wrong order and going to the wrong worlds. Whereas in the actual like lore of the game, you're supposed to go to the certain levels, the person gets on, I'm pretty sure, I might be butchering this, but the person gets on, you're not supposed to pay attention to them at all. And then you go to a certain...
When did this myth start?
I don't know, you go to a certain place and they get off, and then when you exit there, you're in a different world. That usually goes in different ways. Like some people say you get off and it looks the exact same as where you're supposed to be, right? But there's just no one around, like no one exists. Yeah, there's different things of that going on. It's weird. It's definitely, I personally thought that was a direct call to that and trying to show they're playing the elevator game in order to get to the other world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just never even knew that was, yeah, that blows my mind that that's a thing that existed. And I guess you read more creepypasta weird things than I do, I guess.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Yeah. It's one of those weird things too, where when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I see where you're going with this. It kind of makes sense. I want more of that though. And I thought the anime was going to be solely about like these urban legends. That's what I was looking for. That's the word I was looking for earlier. But like these urban legends that then turn into like them kind of exploring them and things like that. But it just more seems like that was a tool to show that they can get to the other world, basically, correctly.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
And there's the repeat monsters too, which
there's the repeat monster. And then the other thing that's a little weird for me is like the whole like show is basically them trying to make money. Is that what like the plot is? Like they're going to the other world to get these things, to collect them, to then sell them. Like, I don't know.
I think that's going to end up being a lot of the plot, but I don't know. Yeah. That's all I can surmise from what's
from
going
what
on.
I've seen as well.
So far.
I definitely will put that as a continue to watch, but hopefully it'll get better, right? It's not one that just dragged me in immediately. It kind of, weirdly enough, it reminds me a little of Onyx Equinox, where like I want to watch it and I want it to be good, but Onyx Equinox was kind of the one where like dip, like I understand if you left.
That one was just going down the hill fast.
It was very quick. Where this one I feel like is a much slower descent, and it might actually pick itself up. It might have a chance to become one that I would recommend that we watch for sure. But
well,
it's on the radar.
Before we get into the one that we know we want to talk about, there's one that I at least want to try and convince people to take a look at. So I believe I might say this right or wrong. I might be wrong, but Horimiya, I believe, might be the title of the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But what it is, if I'm correct, we'll put it on screen or something like that. Go editor.
Oh shit! All right, I'll try my best.
But it's a slice of life. Yes, I know, but it's a romance more appropriately, and it's absolutely freaking adorable. If you're looking for something that is more romantic than slice of life, since a lot of people tend to fold for that, and you want something for this season, this is my go-to choice. And it's about two characters that are complete opposites. Wow, what a story you've never heard about. But it does it in a way that neither the characters expect, nor do you as the audience really expect going into it. That's I don't want to ruin what fun and interest that there is in it, but it really does have a fast-paced entrance into it. It doesn't let you just dangle or feel like the story isn't going to move at all, which is a pain that I hate in a lot of romance series.
Yeah.
Where this show kind of feels like it grabs the idea of what it wants and just kind of sells you into the end of the episode and kind of puts it into a perspective of like, okay, this is going to have a trajectory. This is going to go in places and be interesting and actually deal with ideologies and relationships in the way that like those things connect, and how how those two actually vary from each other. And I think it's going to be really interesting. So I think people should watch it.
How many episodes are out so far? Is it just one?
I think it's just one.
Okay.
If there's another one, it might be coming out this week, and I'm super excited for it. But just from this one episode, I already get this feeling that like there is a breakdown where the characters do talk to each other and give a heavy amount of dialogue, which doesn't even feel like it. Like that's the thing that I love about the show so far, is it feels natural and it feels a little bit cliche at one point. We do get a dumb protagonist problem where they're like, "Oh, I say the dumb thing," but it's handled in a swift way, so
Okay.
you know it's going to progress.
Okay.
And there is a bit of Japan, stop letting people beat each other. I know it's for comedic effect in anime, but special abuse isn't right. No.
Yeah. It's true though.
It is. And it's one thing that
Don't
it
hit
does
your
bother me about
significant
so many romantic anime is that the two do beat up each other sometimes. Like that always feels like, I get it. It's joking and people are socially awkward and it's like a buffer zone or whatever.
Sure.
And some relationships are that way, but I feel like that was the only thing. And like, this isn't spoilers for anything, but I will say that like those gags, because wherever they are, however they are, I always feel like they're over the top. And the show doesn't feel like it's meant to be a comedy.
Oh,
Other than
okay.
that, great show. Please
Okay.
watch.
Where can they watch it? Where can you go? Where can you find it? Where have you been watching it? I
found
guess.
this one on Crunchyroll, I think.
Okay.
It's probably on Funimation as well. But
Yeah.
that one was on Crunchyroll.
Because
I do find an irritation that the last one that we were talking about was on Funimation.
it was on
if I'm not
Funimation.
mistaken.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that earlier. Yeah, I tried to find it on Crunchyroll first, and then I couldn't find it on Crunchyroll. And then I was like,
Not
all right,
owned
where
by
do
the same person.
I find it? Where do I find?
Yeah.
And then I start going on to the thing of like, where do I get this? Jade recommended these. Where do I find them? Where are you watching these? And I'm like, oh, okay, they're on Funimation. I definitely.
Yeah, they're over there.
Same with the next one. I feel like I don't know if we want to go into it. The one that we 100%. I know that.
Yes.
But
This is back into spoilers territory, probably. I don't think we can talk about the show without spoiling.
yeah, I don't think we can talk about the show at all without spoiling.
We can give a quick synopsis for people who want to try and possibly watch it, so that way they're not jumping around in time codes too often just to make it through this series or through this episode. So the main idea is this is
and just
a very
so
interesting show.
it's a wondrous. We're talking about Wondrous Egg Priority.
Oh yes,
just saying.
Wondrous
and
Egg Priority.
this is also on Funimation, so just saying.
Yes,
but
you'll have to go over there to watch it. Unfortunately,
synopsis.
despite them being owned by the same people, you can't watch it on either which one.
I would like to talk about that too later. We could talk about that after this. That would be actually an interesting topic. But yeah, synopsis. Start.
Synopsis. Okay, so as a quick history to who it is it's from a smaller studio that normally just does filler stuff for other studios. The only thing that Cloverworks, the studio that's done this one, has done previously that I absolutely love is Rascal Doesn't Dream of Bunny Senpai, I believe.
Okay.
And I can't remember off the top of my list. Unfortunately, I didn't bring up a document for this. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But Cloverworks, I'm pretty sure, doesn't have any other works that they've done wholly on their own.
Okay.
This is their like second main adaptation that they've done on their own. And a lot of people are trying to say that it feels and looks like it's a Kyoto Animations, but I don't actually know if I agree with that on the exact style and look on it, but it is beautiful. It has a little bit more CG in it than I necessarily would want, but it looks honestly immaculate. Like you can't even really tell for most of it.
That show is gorgeous.
The show looks beautiful. Everything about it is presented really greatly. And what it is about a 14-year-old girl, I believe, what is her name?
I can't think of her. Oh, it's like AI or like
yeah, AI or something.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. It's like AI.
Yeah, AI is what we'll go with for right now. Probably something different. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
what really matters is that there is a pair of mysterious voices that call to them, and they wander for a little bit to find an offering of an egg to them, in which they are told that by cracking it, they are pretty much granted something that they long or want.
It's the thing that they want the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting.
It's just as bizarre as that. So egg cracked, wondrous things happen. So like those are what you really want to know. If you want a weird anime that throws you for a loop and is mystical, fun, maybe a little bit depressing, you can't do better than this one. This is got to be the anime that I'm most hyped for and have been hyped for in a long time, and have no really didn't know that it existed until I watched it.
Yeah, same. This one definitely came out of nowhere until like you threw it at me. But it's a little creepy too. I think the interesting thing about this show for me is it kind of touches everywhere. But yeah, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a spoiler, but
No, but I'm saying now we're probably going to get into the spoilers territory.
Spoilers!
Because at this point, I think we can crack this one wide open.
Oh, I need to talk about this show. This was like one of the shows where, okay, I'm just going to start out by saying, what the fuck? Okay, seriously, like, there is so much to unpack with this show in how they layer it and the different transitions between the real world and whatever other dream world. It's like a dream world.
Yes.
Because when you start it, it really feels like, okay, you're in the real world. This feels real worldy. She's picking up a bug. She's bearing it. Quickly, you start realizing that things are a little weird when the bug comes to life and starts talking to her after it's been dead and lets her know about this wondrous machine, or this it's a, oh my God, why can't a capsule machine. Like that. They're like, all right, well, we'll take it to you. First one's free. After that, bring your wallet, which to me already, I was like, wait, okay, this is strange. This is strange, especially once you start realizing that takes place in the dream world. You're like, wait a second, do you have a different wallet in the dream world? Does it have unlimited money? It's your dream. Like,
I imagine you probably get a amount equal to the things that you accomplish.
I don't know, right? I kept thinking that because that was one of the weird things to me where I'm like, okay, well, clearly there's some sort of currency that's being exchanged for this. We never really saw 100%. They do show the capsule machine at the very end of the first episode, but
with that other girl that's just loading up on him.
Who's just loading
that's
up
all
on
jumping
him?
the shark.
I know, this is all jumping the shark.
Jumping the shark to what we're going on here. Like this show, after she descends in the elevator, he goes down there, gets the first one. Shit changes fast.
Oh, so quick. Weird thing too, when you think about it, is she comes back to the real world, right? Clearly, and she has the egg. So it's like, does the egg transcend the dream world and the regular world? Because it seems like it does.
I think it does. Well, because she's not allowed to go backward. The whole sequence doesn't start until she actually cracks it from when she's in the bathroom stall, like hours later of wandering around with this thing and everything kind of getting to her, I guess.
Yeah, because like when she gets back after it, it's kind of explained. Like you can already tell that they're hinting that she's being homeschooled, that there's something like emotionally wrong with her. She definitely seems very closed off from everybody because her teacher already is giving like her mom pamphlets and whatever her homework is or wherever it might be, like that this is a normal occurrence. So this is something that happens like every time they come to do this. And so you start getting this realization of, okay, she's a shut-in, has some sort of weird emotional damage, and then it quickly goes to the first like dream sequence, and you can tell it's a dream sequence because of course it's very abrupt in how it changes. But it was interesting to me because they did the whole normal dream thing where she thinks she's dreaming and she's like, oh, I need to wake up, so she like pulls on her face or tries to pinch herself and does all that but can't wake up. So clearly it's like she's stuck in there. I think that's what that's trying to show. Like, hey, you're dreaming, but like you're stuck in this dream. And it starts going scary and downhill immediately, almost like.
Yes. Those little murder bouncy dudes look really cool.
Dude, those guys are sweet. Yeah. Or like, dude, even when she's first walking, she shows up in a school and she starts walking down and the first girls are cleaning off this locker and it looks like it must be one of theirs. Or something like that. But anyways, the locker says like die on it, and
with the blurred out faces.
Yeah, and they look at her and their faces are all blurred out, and it's like, oh shit, this is creepy, dude. I loved that. I thought this was gonna be 100% a horror flick from there on, and it doesn't 100% hold horror flicky. Like it really does do horror at some points. Like from here, I guess we're just gonna go through the whole thing. She makes it to the bathroom because she freaks out and runs away from these two girls, and then while in the bathroom, the toilet paper talks to her. And
That was so trippy looking.
yeah, and starts like calling her out and basically is like, dude, break the egg. Like, what are you doing? Break the egg. And at first she's like, you can't break it, because we saw the earlier part where she tried to, basically, and it was unable to crack. But now all of a sudden she's like getting yelled at by toilet paper. That's like a mouth, basically. And so she throws the egg against the wall and it cracks and opens. And out pops what? A person. Like,
yeah, that was. I didn't expect a random girl to pop out of the egg. That was quite an interesting little splat. I didn't know what would have came out of the egg, honestly, but that wasn't exactly what I thought it would be.
Honestly, me either. I didn't really have. It's kind of strange to think like back towards that. Yeah, you don't really think, you're like, okay, maybe it's some sort of like chick or like a. It clearly looks like a chicken egg, so it looks like, okay, maybe this has something small in it, whatever it might be. Oh no, I think we're losing Jay. Jay, no. Sorry, you guys. Recording is fine, but internet died. And Japan saved us. Fun. Japan saved. For some reason, U.S. servers and Europe was down, but guess what? Japan's working. Hell yeah.
So now we can finish.
Yay! Basically, yeah. I guess I was trying to say is like the egg that she gets. It just seems like a chicken egg. It seems like there wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary necessarily in it. Maybe a weird creature. Like, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, so there's a movie in which a character gets an egg. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I'll post a link probably for it. But in that movie, there's like a little like a little fancy character that pops out of that one. I was like thinking maybe it'd be something like that, or I don't know. There's Tamago and like so many different things. I was expecting just maybe a confetti or something, or something cerebral, but not a human popping out.
Yeah, and it like yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it like started growing all weird, like.
It's definitely a trip. I love how this it just keeps rolling with what's going on in the show. It definitely in a very interesting way. Like even when at the point where it gets to the point where they start explaining that, oh, those things that we're talking about that were hopping around, they're chasing the girl that just came out of that egg, or the moments that they're randomly passing through exits and in and out of the dream state thing. Like, there's not a lot of explanation to how that's happening, but unless there's something that I was missing that you might have caught.
No, not necessarily. The weird thing for me about it is it just seems like the character in the egg is a lot more aware of the type of situation she's in, because when she pops out, she basically is instantly like, yo, why'd you summon me now before the bell rang? And it's like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Obviously this has been going on for them, right?
Yeah, obviously this is some sort of normal occurrence. And then yeah, they walk back out of the bathroom and they get attacked, and she gets cut and gets brutalized, and they start. She's like,
the one girl gets hit with an axe.
That's what I'm saying. The one girl gets hit with the axe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll call her Egg Girl, and I think we're calling the other one what Ai or something like that.
Main girl.
Main girl. So okay, Egg Girl and Main Girl. We're so bad. We're like the worst anime reviewers ever. All right, so Egg Girl gets hit by an axe by crazy blurred face lady, who has like a army of masked Chinese like knife wielding imps. I don't know what to call them. Like,
yeah,
but she's basically like, run, we need to run. And the other main girl's like, all right, I guess let's run. So they try to escape. As they're escaping, main girl gets hurt, basically gets cut on her side, which like will come into play later. That was so weird. Like they end up escaping.
Yeah, it comes back.
Yeah, they end up escaping, and then basically Egg Girl's like, oh yeah, you can't get hurt, your cut's already gone. And she's like, oh, you're right. And kind of trips out about that. And then they like are hanging out, and she starts explaining some of the world stuff, like, oh yeah, by the way, you can't get hurt unless it's your heart or your eyes, weirdly enough. And it's like, okay, so I guess you can get injured in this into a point where it's bad, but that hasn't happened yet. And then the other girl explains they're not after you, they're after me. And they try to like kind of bond. It definitely seems like there's a little bit of bonding that goes on, but clearly main girl has had enough emotional trauma that she doesn't want to bond with anyone. And I can't remember, is that when they flash back to like normal time, or like I guess it's actually a flashback.
Yeah, that's when we get to learn about the where the show gets really dark.
Oh, really dark,
and
really
the
cool.
suicide stuff, right?
Yeah. And
So
it kind of
that
feels
happened.
it kind of feels out of nowhere because it is clearly a flashback, and it's to set up why she has a statue on the top of this roof when they get up there.
Which is morbid in its own right.
Yeah, because
you
she
jumped from the roof. Let's put a statue
she
there.
jumped. Yeah. So I don't know. It is one of those things where it's weird too, because when you first see her on the ground, you're like, oh shit, someone jumped off and committed suicide, and you're like, damn, this girl, like, I see how that's traumatic. And then it goes back a little bit further and is like, oh wait, that person on the ground is your friend because she tried to befriend you because she was sat next to you and now she's trying to befriend you. And it gets into the whole, like, the main character has heterochromia. We haven't said this at all.
No, it's such a non-factor.
Well, it comes into play kind of because
No, it is, yes.
Because like,
because they're like, oh, I'm ugly.
I'm ugly. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think she thinks she's ugly is because she has two different colored eyes, which to all of us is like, dude, what are you talking about?
That's exotic and fun.
Yeah, heterochromia to me is like, damn, you're adorable, girl. But it's interesting because she tries to make her feel good about it and tries to forcibly befriend this girl, but clearly I don't know if there's more abuse involved because she didn't want a friend at all. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm getting friend. Oh, cool, I'll accept friend. It was more like, this person's trying to befriend me. I don't want this. Like, either maybe
there's definitely some resistance, yeah.
Yeah. And then clearly they get to the point where they are friends, and then, like, I mean, it's not that they're clearly friends, but it's like, how do I put it? She like hugs her and is like, can we be friends? And the other main girl's like, no, I can't. I don't want a friend, basically, but I would like a friend. And then it cuts back to her at the statue. And the statue
We're clearly going to get more of that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be something involved, because that's when you start realizing, okay, so this girl was traumatized when her friend committed suicide. That's tying into the story. And then it starts going into some more surreal stuff. I don't want to like explain the whole episode, but it's she basically,
we're definitely breaking it down way too much. But
she definitely,
it's so good.
I know. I feel like I need to explain it because it helps my brain like kind of comprehend. Me explaining this gives it no, like, it gives it context. I don't know the best way to put this, but it puts like a story out there for you guys to hear and understand. But dear God, I'm not explaining it in a way that makes any sense, because when you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck?
No, all of this just trickles together in such a, I mean, yeah, enough that you understand what's going on. You understand everything's there to put together, and all the pieces are there for us to even explain this way. But it doesn't answer a single goddamn thing what's actually going on.
Straight up, like,
while it does it.
Like, to hop around, I guess, a little bit, when she escapes, let's just get to there. When she wakes up, is it breakfast, right? I think.
Yeah.
And then
she comes down for breakfast with her.
Yeah.
Her mother.
And then blood drips on her eggs, and she's like, oh, what's that from? And then realizes she's bleeding from her gash wound on her side, where we clearly saw her get injured in the dream, but then healed. But in the real world, like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, did she hurt herself? Like,
well, they end up in the doctor's office, and the mother's like freaking out, like, I don't know how this happened or what she did, and it's just like everybody's befuddled, and I'm almost wondering if it's going to be like a thing where the doctor's like, did you do this to them? Like there's confusion that is obviously occurring in this situation that, as far as like, is actually impacting everybody around them. It's not like in other shows where you see something happens to somebody and they just like scruff it off, or they're like, "Oh, I fell downstairs." No, this is something that they take them to the hospital for.
Yeah. And it's crazy because
It has consequences.
I almost think it's going to get to the point where they think she's self-harming. I think that's the direction.
That could be a possibility too. Yeah.
That was the direction I was thinking. I'm like, oh, they're going to think she's hurting herself now. She's depressed. She's shut in. She's so depressed. She's now hurting herself. And
like, why wouldn't she tell me? Or like, yeah, like the sequence in that part where like the mother's so distressed in front of the doctor's like, I don't know where that's going exactly, but yeah, it could go in a self-harm way. And the fact that she's probably going to say some nonsensical reason of how it happened, it's probably going to perpetuate the cycle of them being like, oh, now they're lying about it because they're like, oh, there's going to be so much that goes from that.
And I think that's the thing for this show that I'm so intrigued and why I'm already hooked. And it did so well at having you like question what's truly going on and what's going to happen to this character at the same time of setting up a interesting plot, because basically the plot line is she clearly is like, if I save these people, like the people in the eggs, it'll bring my friend back who committed suicide. And the dude is basically like, I don't know, maybe. And she's like, how many do I need to save? And he's like, I don't know. And it to me, I'm like, oh, this is setting up for such the most depressiveness. Like,
no, the show's gonna be depressing.
Oh man,
that's true.
I'm like, I'm going Endgame like the worst possible. Like, she does all of this for nothing, basically. And I'm like, oh man.
So when we get back to the idea of the cost, like, there's a clear moment when she defeats the thing that's trying to hunt the other girl, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like a you win moment, and the other girl's like, poofs. Is there a situation in which these girls are somewhat pitted against each other in some sort of way? Is there like consequences that we don't know about of the eggs in the first place?
Well, clearly there's gotta be.
Could they end up in an egg? Like, I don't know. There's so much.
Oh, whoa. I never even thought of that.
We don't understand.
That's kind of a possibility, strangely enough, because she does ask the question of like, what if I fail? And he basically like to the thing that's brought her to see the eggs, basically. And it doesn't really explain it very well. Like, he's basically like, well, you don't want to find out, kind of. Like, that's the vibe I got, was because she was like, what if I do multiple at a time? And he's like, whoa. Like, you might not be able to protect all of them. Getting greedy, aren't you? And it's like, whoa, wait a second. This is getting crazy. Like,
yeah,
clearly
we see that other girl snatching all the eggs.
Yeah,
so...
and then you see the other girl getting like a boatload of eggs. Yeah, it's like, is she doing those all at once? And that was the thing to me where I started trying to connect these dots of, okay, maybe she might actually be able to get her friend back, or that other girl is just as deep into this hole as she is. And then you start realizing, wait a second, is her dream interconnected with this other girl's dream? Like, is this a dream plane where people actually exist and can see each other and interact with each other? Like, this is an actual place? Is she dreaming the other girl? Like, is this all in her imagination? Is this multiple people's imagination?
It has to be real, right? Like,
right. I really don't know if they will, but if we see her in the real world, then I'm like, oh, this is getting deep and crazy. Like, because then clearly she's a real person.
Now that they lost though and disappeared, like, obviously there's still something bad coming their way. Did that like end their story arc? Like, does that like send them away?
Like, so the girl who they saved, like who she saved, right? That poofed, egg girl, I think is a soul. Like, I'm pretty sure if you're dead, like, you can become an egg. Because she asks at one point, she's like, you can see where the eggs are being made. And she asks like, hey, did they commit suicide? And he's like, no comment. And it's like, okay, well, clearly it's a possibility. Like, he probably would have just said no, or if they were, maybe yes. But to be cryptic, he said no comment, which leads you to believe like, yeah, maybe. I don't really comment on whether or not how these people died.
I wonder how different and unique each one of the egg cracks is going to be
Right.
throughout the show.
That's true too, because there are a bunch. When you see the basket of the one girls, they're all different colors. Some are like slightly different shapes. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
In
is
a weird way, this
possibility.
almost feels like a magical girl show, but not.
Kinda, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
With zero magical powers.
I know, right? Well, she kind of has magical powers in the dream world. The pen grew like to be a giant, like
yeah, that's true.
javelin
Right?
thing. That's how she defeated the other.
The thing.
Yeah, so
So there's
kind of
obviously
magical
some,
powers.
like bit that they can wield over it. Yeah, I don't.
Oh man, there's
Dude, I really need more episodes of this show.
There's
I think
so
this
much to
is
this.
finally something that we can break down and like really enjoy over the next couple seasons.
Yeah.
I mean
episodes.
weeks.
Yeah, as it comes
yeah.
out. Yeah, we'll be checking in.
It's
I think the wondrous egg corner will be a priority, if I must say so myself. But it is so
Wow.
it is. I'm so sorry, but it is so strange of an anime. I haven't watched something that was this intriguing. Weirdly enough, I just finished rewatching Evangelion recently, and I kind of got that vibe of like my mind kind of trying to grasp at straws.
Yeah. So I personally love animes like this. This is the stuff that I live and breathe for. And there's things in the past that I do recognize that comes to this, but it's been so long.
So long, yeah.
Like I thought last season that Decadence was like the closest to like the, crazy out there. Let's see what's all going there. But even that show has so much, like as much as it is in that genre of things that I like, it has a lot of it pre-explained throughout it. And this show just really seems like it's outside of the playing field. Like
Yeah.
there's some stuff that we really need to
as
watch
far
for.
as far as an episode 1 of an anime, I haven't watched an anime like this in a long time that I felt like after watching it, I kind of had to sit there for a second and be like, what did I just watch? Like, I need to think about what I just saw, because there's a lot to unpack here. This is almost like this could have been an entire anime movie, but this is just the first episode of a
knowing that there's
series.
Probably like another like 11 more episodes
11,
to this.
yeah.
I can't fathom how far this is going to go over that time.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I hope everybody else will join us in watching this one.
Yeah, I definitely hop on this one. It is on Funimation, Wondrous Egg Priority. Go check it out. That kind of, I guess, can lead us in. Funimation bought Crunchyroll a while back. What's gonna happen? All right. What do you think's gonna happen? If you had to take a guess.
What's honestly gonna happen?
Yeah, honestly, what do you think's gonna happen?
So I think nothing's going to come of it soon right now. So here's a big problem. There's enough other anime streaming or people that can stream anime content now, like High Dive, Netflix, Hulu, and whatnot, that there's no longer a universal need for those two to be separate, as opposed to if we look like 3 years ago, if these things would have merged together, that would have been the collapse of variety in the anime streaming universe. Like,
sure, I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
But now that there's so many other things in the water, I think they're gonna maintain their own separate identities, but start merging content in between of them. Mainly because I think that way they can continue to maintain the revenue of people subscribing to two different services. I think that's why they would maintain them, because if they get rid of one or merge them, then they lose out on that revenue or reason to even have bought the other one.
And I totally agree with you there, because I subscribe to both. So
unfortunately, me too.
If they merged, clearly I would just only have to subscribe to one. I really do hope that they go the route of adding it back to VRV, even if they up the price of what VRV per month is, mainly because I like paying one subscription. I mean, it's not the end of the world to pay for both of these. Currently I pay for VRV, which gives me Crunchyroll, and then I also pay for Funimation, where if they added it back to VRV, I could just get it all in one subscription, but at least that way I'm getting it all. And I think that would make a lot of sense to get added back into there, because it once was. Funimation was part of VRV.
Verb was very useful. I did enjoy the fact that the amount of other content that's on Verb, like the Hangover and a few other things on there, I forget.
Harmon Quest is on there.
But at the same time, at the same time, like, it'd be nice if they go back to that, but they separated from there for obvious reasons. Like, it doesn't make financial sense, right? Like, there's good reasons to make sure that they had it separate. I don't know. The fact that, I mean, it was Sony who bought it, right? So now they're both owned by Sony?
I think so. I don't actually remember. I do think I'm just gonna so we clearly were ready for this.
Of course.
Who owns Funimation? I think it is Sony. I can't remember. It is Sony. So now Sony owns them both.
Yes, that's what I thought. So the funny thing is, Sony tried to sell Funimation before this all happened.
Yeah.
So they've been trying to sell it, and now you go and buy Crunchyroll instead. I guess that was the better option if they couldn't get the price that they wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think what it boiled down to was kind of what you were saying, where now they are like the ultimate streaming service of anime, as far as like, because when I thought of Funimation, is like, that's where I go watch dubs. A lot of anime. Crunchyroll didn't, for the longest time, especially in the beginning, didn't have a lot of dubs. It was mainly just subbed anime that you could get there. So if you wanted to watch your favorite dub or whatever it might be, you would have to find it on Funimation.
You animal.
Hey man, I like a good dub. We can get into that at some point. But so it was weird to me once I started realizing that Funimation and Crunchyroll both had a lot of the same content already. And now maybe Funimation realized, okay, well, now what we can do is we can have basically two streaming services. One's more oriented towards like certain things, because I know not everything comes to Crunchyroll and not everything comes to Funimation. So there's clearly some sort of split there that they want. I do think it does boil down to like what you're saying, where they want people to be able to pay for both of these services, because if they do have two different services instead of one getting absorbed, either they would have to up the price of what Crunchyroll or Funimation costs. And most likely, if they went that route, they would lose some sort of also fan base, because there has to be people who only watch on Funimation or only watch on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I know people like that. And also, I mean, it stems all the way back to the days when Crunchyroll wasn't a legitimate site back in the day, when it was a pirating site.
Yeah.
Or not pirating, but illegally watching this stuff. Like, that's a whole separate story. So, I don't know. Now that everything is so out there and there's so many other choices, I don't really understand the purchase of this. Or, unless what they're trying to do is try to monopolize it in a way. Like,
I think
I'm
they
not
are.
Sure.
Yes.
What they could do.
I definitely feel like they have to be, because what you're saying is, because there are other streaming sites, but the two big players are basically Funimation and Crunchyroll. And the weird thing is, the other big one that I would think of, which was, I like literally can't think of the name anymore, but it was a pirating site that was huge.
Kiss Anime?
Yeah, Kiss Anime, and they got taken down.
Yeah, that's dead. Yeah.
So I think that was a big push for this, because if you think about it, the revenue and what you'd be making from anime sites was not nearly as much when you could just go get it for free and maybe have some hentai ads of Naruto on the side of your computer as you were watching it. And then and then now that's gone. So there's this whole market of, okay, well, let's now, it's not as easy as it once was. I'm pretty sure there's other free sites out there. I haven't gone looking because truthfully,
there is.
once that
But
went down
I
and
have the
things like
service
that,
for why.
I was like, all right, well, I might as well just get Crunchyroll and I might as well just start watching it there because first of all, you don't have the ads in case like you're living with your parents and your mom walks in and she's like, "What are you watching?" And you're like, "This isn't what it looks like." But and then yeah, I don't know. Like I do think the marketplace opened up a bunch once that disappeared.
If they were to consolidate it, though, I think that would be the best for all of us.
Yes,
Ultimately,
100%.
simply because the consolidation of it would cut down on the amount of piracy that does occur within the community. Because I'm not gonna lie, totally not me. I definitely know somebody who's seen stuff that appeared on High Dive only, and you're like, oh wow, I already pay for 2 anime streaming services in addition to my normal streaming service. I'm not going to pay for the 3rd streaming service for anime alone.
Yeah.
And so they go about acquiring it.
Sure. And
or
I mean,
the fact that there's stuff on Hulu and it's like, hey, buddy, can I get a login from you for a day? It's just like,
or even there's stuff that you can't find anywhere. Like that was one of the things about pirating sites that I feel like keeps them alive in a lot of ways. Is like, oh, well, I want to watch this and it's literally nowhere. So I think having a place where like 2 of these big ones combined and maybe they're able to grab some stuff that wasn't able to get obtained before, or they realize now that we have like both revenues from both of these, we can now maybe try to I don't know, grab some old anime shows or grab some stuff and put it on. Like that's what I thought was going to happen with Evangelion personally before Netflix got it, was something like this would happen. And then they'd be like, all right, cool. We now have enough revenue that we can figure out how we're going to get Evangelion or get any of the other sort of like older animes all into one place. But
well, as far as Ava goes, you could have taken an open bet with me and said, hey, I'll bet you that Evangelion is going to come to American audience. And I'd been like, you're lying. Never going to happen.
Man, I could have made some money.
Yeah, somebody could have made some really good money off of me. That's the one show that I would have been like, never happening.
Yeah.
But however Netflix did that, whatever backdoor alley thing you did, somebody's got apparently some good moves over there. I don't know.
Yeah,
talent.
I do wish that they would combine for the sole fact that I think it would benefit all of us because we would have one like big player in anime instead of having it be segmented between the 2. I mean, Netflix will now be a thing because Netflix is pretty powerful. Hulu. Yeah.
The voice acting community probably will suffer from this, right? Because both Crunchyroll and Funimation hired their own separate voice actors for translation work. And already we have a lot of people who say that they already pay like crap. So if the 2 biggest place that already does most of the dubbing here in the US consolidated, that means there's no longer a competitive market for the voice actors to really branch out into. And
yeah, I mean, that does make
I feel like in other areas this is gonna probably hurt a lot of other people. So good for the consumer, bad for the industry probably.
In some ways I do agree. I almost think though that Crunchyroll, I know that they started branching into dubs a lot more. It's definitely seems like recently. I don't know how recently, probably more recently, or like it probably started happening further ago than I think it did. But Funimation to me was always where everyone got their dubs from because I mean, if you look at it, if you look at a lot of your favorite dubbed anime, it's like Funimation. Like this is the only reason why you're getting this in English.
I never used the site before.
Yeah. So yeah, right. But I don't know. It is one of those things where those industries I think will get consolidated into one. I think it would be interesting if Funimation did indeed become where you find dubbed anime, and Crunchyroll was still more of the like Die Hard, this is for subs, this is like where you go watch simulcasts, all that type of stuff. Like,
yeah,
I could see them trying to like differentiate them in that fashion, but
I feel like that would hurt the exclusive market, right? So if they exclusively air one on Crunchyroll and one on and something else on Funimation, I'm not going to want to go over to Funimation and listen to it in English.
Yeah,
I'm just going to get mad that there's not a the original audio.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's a lot of good and bad about it. It's problematic in some ways.
I just hope at the end of the day, as I said, like I just want them to add Funimation back to VRV, you guys. Or if anyone from Funimation or Sony over here can hear this, like if you go that route and you bump up a little bit more of the price, I will pay. All right, I will gladly go under one subscription to be able to get all of my content from one app. I don't know. It's even even if it's like not even if it's more expensive to go that route, I just feel like a lot of people would probably go that way just because I don't know, Funimation's app is not the best. That's the other weird thing is all of these are made by different companies and for the time being, and now like all have different interfaces and all have different like ways of just I don't know, binging that content. My favorite most likely right now is Crunchyroll. I haven't used a lot of Funimation, to be honest.
I prefer the Crunchyroll website over Funimation, especially their UI. Usually, when I'm using like a smart TV or something like that, Funimation UI is garbage.
Yeah,
usually. But also, I don't know. I prefer to have more people in the market space, even if it does split up content sometimes, though, simply because it does mean that usually the prices get driven down.
That's the other thing, yeah.
But yeah, I think we need to see how this rolls out in general, because as much as I want to bend on one way or the other, I'm kind of in a loss. And I think I would have I had a more real opinion on this a few years back than I do now.
I think for like if I'm thinking about what I think's going to happen, I don't think anything's going to change. I think Funimation will continue doing exactly what it's doing now, and Crunchyroll will continue doing exactly what it's doing right now. Like in my honest opinion, I don't see a benefit from them combining them as much as as much as I want them to, as much as I want them to like blanket it under one thing. It's just, yeah, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They're a business at the end of the day. So I think they'll always try to do what's going to help their bottom line for the most part. And that's just the way it is. But I am glad to see Netflix and Hulu getting more anime, though.
No, Netflix, stop it. I'm against this. Netflix and Netflix jail needs to stop being a damn thing. I don't want to wait 6 months to a year to watch something. Stop this. Let me see it when it comes out. I
guess that is the issue with Netflix. You're right with that, because Netflix's whole model is releasing everything at once. So
they don't usually not even when it's done, just months later for no real reason.
Yeah, well, exactly, because it's weird. I don't know. It is a strange way to release seasons, because now it's like, all right, you can binge it if you want. I kind of understand that, because then you're like, cool, I can just eat up an entire show and move on to the next one instead of like watching 5 or 6 shows all at once. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like watching the 5 to 6 shows all like that I'm trying to watch. It's weird how exciting it is when your favorite anime or favorite show all of a sudden has a new episode and you get to sit down and you watch it, and it's like, I think it's better in so many ways as for a community, because everyone watches it all at once, and then we can all talk about that episode, and it's not like, okay, who was the first to have enough time off to eat the entire season, and they're all like, oh dude, like you wait until like this happened, and you're like, man, I haven't had time to watch that. Or when they're coming out like this, a lot of the times, if you're going to be watching it when it comes out, you usually have enough time to watch it when it comes out. Like
when you drop into a conversation like the egg conversation, and you might probably just ignored our spoiler warning anyways, went and just listen to us spoil the entire first season, ranting about every last thing that happens to it. That's only one episode. If this was on Netflix and we binged the whole thing, we'd probably talk about how the series ended and what surprises there was. And so spoilers would have really just given away the actual ending. To this, it's just one episode. You didn't miss anything. If you listen to that, you could go in and watch the second episode, watch the first one, and then watch the second one. And next week when we see each other again, or when we talk to everybody, we're all still experiencing the newer things and learning and still driving towards that bigger, deeper possibility. Yeah, I love that. I love that feel in that conversation. So there's not really spoilers going on,
Yeah.
except for whoever read the manga.
Well, true. I mean, manga is a whole different story. That is like what got me into reading manga in the first place. Was not like I couldn't wait long enough for an anime to finish. Shippuden was the main one for me. Like I got to the point in Shippuden where I was like, I'm just gonna read the manga. This is gonna take way too long. The manga's way so far ahead currently. I can easily get caught up on the manga, but then it's the same thing. If you're caught up on a manga, you're waiting every week for a new volume or a new chapter to come out, and you're sitting there like, you guys, it's like the exact same thing.
Then, you're talking to a different group of people usually.
But you're talking to a whole different, usually. I totally would agree. But for me, it's one of those things where it just the type of community you have when you're able to all kind of start theory crafting and all start like coming out. It's one of the things that I love and I hate about anime communities or things like that. Cause I'm like, I have my own opinions. And when people start like theory crafting in a way that I'm like, that doesn't make sense, but you're kind of right, but I don't want you to be right. I want to be right in this type of different direction that's going. I don't know. It is interesting, especially with some of the things that are coming out currently. Like, oh man, I do love how crazy people get, but man, you guys are all wrong. All right, just whatever theory is going on currently in my head, it's like, man, all right, this totally is possible. But it's funny how people get caught up on such small, minute detail. Like for Wondrous Egg or something like that, like we could now sit here and try to digest or try to figure out like, holy shit, like this means this probably means this thing's gonna go down, whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, episode 2 comes out, we're all wrong. But I don't know, it's always cool having that portion of the community, because if you just have the entire season instantaneously to eat like Netflix does it, you already get your answers. You get your answers in the next episode when you go watch it.
A lot more forgetful in a way too. Like the fact that you have to keep up with something and keep coming back to it, it just seems like you get to snack on it as opposed to just, I don't know, throwing it to the side 2 seconds later. Like you're not talking about it a week later if you binged it all.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing that comes up is the whole, like what I was saying is it turns into, instead of you binging like a bunch of like snacks at once, you're eating like a full meal and then just moving on to the next full meal. So that last one you guys might talk about a little bit, and then but you're already on to this next whole thing, where this is like, did you see the last episode of whatever this is? We can talk about it next week. We're going to also talk about it again. And it just becomes more memorable because you're talking about it over a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. And go watch it. Yeah.
I'll also say though that there's a benefit to releasing it weekly that you don't get when you release it all at once. Is the people who want to watch it all at once still have that option of just waiting till the last episode and binging all the way up to watch the last episode. You know, if you're going to binge a day one, that's basically the same time to do it, because then we all hit this end at the same time. And people who wanted to watch it a little bit here and a little bit there because they can't binge it all, you know, then they get that option. So
it's true.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I think the only downside is, you can't just eat an entire thing without getting spoiled on some stuff. It is, if an entire series comes out all at once and you're able to eat it quickly enough, you're not going to get spoiled on anything.
That's true too.
Where if you're only eating it per episode, and let's say you like eating or like binging the entire series, you kind of have to shut off either a friend group, a community, whatever it might be, in order to sit there and watch it all at once. Though. It's not
like, I get it with like really big series, like sure, you know, what is it? Like when the new Lord of the Rings TV show comes out, or back when Game of Thrones was running. Yes, like there was groups of people that were just talking about nothing but that. But maybe it's just because I don't have friends that talk about anime all the time. I've never ever had somebody who could ever spoil an anime series currently running, or that aired all at once to me. Like that's never happened. And sure, that might happen to a group of you, but I feel like
I could see it happening. I could see it happening more now, especially with like TikTok or like different types of content that you can binge that people are just putting out there. Like, I know if I wasn't caught up on Attack on Titan right now, there's some stuff in my Twitter feed where it'd be like, wait, what is happening? Like, holy shit. But
really,
like,
I don't follow anybody who talks about what's currently going on in anime, and nothing in my YouTube feed is that way.
Yeah, a lot of the time
I see spoilers for so many more traditional, bigger shows than I do for anime stuff.
To me, a lot of the time it's not like the person who originally posted who spoiled it. It's if I go read comments is when I start getting it, and I have like I have a bad instance of like, oh, I want to see what other people think of like what you just said, and I'm like getting deeper down in there. I'm like, oh, you're just now explaining what, like, you vaguely were like, oh, this is such a sweet episode, and then you start going like down into it a little bit, and like people are posting gifs or like posting different stuff that are like, oh wait, shit, this is what's going down right now.
You trudge through the internet way more than I do. I think what I'm learning out of this is I don't spend nearly as much time as I think other people do looking at things on the internet.
That's probably true. Yeah, but I'm glad to see at least my two favorite, or the two biggest ones for anime that I use, at least they're under one umbrella right now. I hope they can learn from each other and actually like make their interfaces better, make it everything better for all of us. But at the same time, they just killed competition, and competition usually is what breeds that sort of thing. So I guess we'll all have to just wait and see how the whole Crunchyroll Funimation plays out.
Ooh, that's gonna make the next Crunchyroll convention really weird.
Oh, whoa, we'll be like Crunchyroll Fanimation or Funimation.
Yeah, I don't.
Will it? I wonder.
Who knows? We'll see next time, and hell, we'll go to it if there's a vaccine.
Yeah, if we can go to it, we will be going there. So, but I think, I think it's a good way to wrap it up. You guys go check out.
I think it's a great time.
Go check out Wondrous Egg Priority. 100% recommended. Like, very good show so far, and be on this journey with us. I feel like I haven't wanted to bring a bunch of people, but yeah.
No, this is one that I'm throwing on everybody I know. I've definitely recruited people to watch this show.
Hell yeah.
And
Me too.
We're going to recruit you as well.
Yeah.
So come back, talk to us about it, post stuff down below.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Take care, you guys. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Stay otaku. We're still working on that. All right. It's still being workshopped. I like it. Okay. No.